Give us a little background on you and this dream life that yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess I really haven't
Makes me feel even worse, Lance. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Just rub it in. I got it in. Green. No worries.
Welcome to Guys Fishing Weekly. We don't just fish, we hook.
Hey, buddy.
Eddie.
How are you, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's fishing week.
It's fishing week, buddy. I'm going to see you in a couple days.
That's right.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Uh-huh. It's going to be goody.
I'm so excited.
Hopefully if you stay dry.
Right? Well, we're not going to stay dry. It's going to be wet, but that's okay.
That's okay.
We just don't need to be limited by how wet we get. That's what we're hoping for. Yeah. Who we got on the show today?
Well, before we do that, we're excited today to talk about our sponsor and favorite app that we use, Trout Routes Pro.
It's the best fishing tool that I own. Outside of my fishing rod, Trout Routes gives us so much access and information to new waters. It's been unbelievable for us.
I literally use it every time I go out on the water. It is the best way to find access points, find fishing spots that you didn't know existed, ways to get in on property, fishing easements, know where you're not supposed to be. It's a godsend when it comes to getting on the water. So if you're looking for new product that'll help you increase your fishing game, check out Trout Routes Pro. You can get 20% off your first year using our code weekend 2025 at maps.troutroutes.com. Again, 20% off your first year using our code weekend 2025 at maps.troutroutes.com. Check it out. Today on the show, we're talking with Lance Kittel of Pesca Vida fly fishing gear, content, flies, fly fishing rods,
lifestyle,
fishing trips. I mean, this Lance is living the dream.
Living my dream. Yes, he is. Love that guy.
We talk about the first day origins of Pesca Vida, DIY international fly fishing trips, being the first to smile opens a lot of doors, and 120-pound jungle tarpons.
Yes. Let's do it, brother.
Hey, Lance, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
It's good, man. Good to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super stoked to hang out, talk fishing stuff.
Yes, indeed.
Where do we find you today?
I'm currently in Colorado. Is that the answer to that question?
Yeah, that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. No, I'm at home in Colorado currently. We're in between travels, so we just finished up our winter travel season, and we'll be here in Colorado till about August for our next hosted trip.
Oh, nice. Where did you just finish up your winter travels?
So we went to Belize in February. We hosted a group of anglers down there at the Iguana House. We had 9 days down in Belize, which was awesome, as it always
Seriously.
is.
Nice. Yes,
then,
I imagine.
Yeah, it was great. And then at the start of March, we did a week down in New Zealand as well. That was actually us going on a trip we wanted to go on. So we were a part of a group heading down, and yeah, equally awesome too.
Right.
That's awesome.
Right.
We're in New Zealand.
We were on the North Island, and we were kind of stationed in Lake Taupo area. We were kind of running trips out of Taupo. So a couple days we did like walk wade. One day we did a backcountry helicopter fly out, and then we went rafting one day too. So it was kind of like this mixed package of all these different fly fishing experiences. So it was like, a lot of fishing, a lot of time on the water, but yeah, it was amazing.
New Zealand's
Okay, Lance,
awesome.
you're living
Yeah.
like my dream. Okay, like yeah, I labored for 25 years teaching middle schoolers for some dumb reason, and here you are. So tell us about Pesca Vida, about what you're doing, and how you maybe got into it. Give us a little background on you and this dream life that yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess I really haven't
Makes me feel
shared.
even worse, Lance. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Just rub it in. I got
Rub it
it
in.
in. No worries. Yeah, so I guess I really haven't dove too far into the history of Pesca Vida before on like a podcast. So this might be some interesting stuff for a lot of folks. So I met my at the time girlfriend, now wife, in grad school. I went to Western State Colorado University in Gunnison. So I hung out there. I met my wife and we kind of started dating. And some of our first early dates were getting out fly fishing. She was
Nice.
also going through nursing school, and fly fishing was like a little escape for her out of that craziness. And I was, of course, trying to be like super macho man. And like I had fly fished when I was a kid, but like I basically had zero skills at that point. So it was like a learning experience for me to get back into it too. But so her and I started fly fishing together, and that's really like a core part of our relationship now, which is incredible. But from there, I started tying my own flies because that's the natural next step. And then I got really bored and started learning how to make rods, which is a whole nother wormhole that you can go down in terms of,
Right.
yeah, this will save me money one day, and it never ends up saving you any money. So,
No.
yeah, the years went by. I started posting on Instagram some of my really early stuff. And then, just kind of started posting more about what I was doing in the fly fishing world, and that started growing. So just kind of kept feeding into it, really enjoyed where the path was taking me. And so, yeah, now Pesca Vida is like a small batch fly rod company. We've also got apparel, some gear, just kind of like a lot of fly fishing lifestyle stuff. And then, yeah, we also host trips around the world. The next one we're going on in August is Costa Rica for some big old jungle tarpon. It's
Right.
honestly like my favorite trip. I can't wait to go back there. But yeah, and then I do a bunch of content creation and like, working with businesses on promotional marketing materials and all that good stuff. So yeah. Those first dates with my wife, I tell you, I always say that those first dates were the ones that ruined it for us forever, because it's like we are so locked into fly fishing now, the rest of the world doesn't even really exist. Which can go either way,
good.
For us, it's a
Right.
great thing.
Right.
Where was your path taking you had you not started fly fishing with her?
So I have 2 degrees in environmental biology and like global sustainability, right? So my master's degree is environmental management with emphasis in like global sustainability. So I did actually work in a marine protection nonprofit for about 5 years. Then I took a year off, worked on some Pesca Vida projects, and now I'm back into a different role as a marketing director.
So creativity and the environment's always kind of been in your blood. So
Absolutely.
fly fishing's perfect for you.
Yeah, it definitely takes up that space I fill with like my passions, my hobbies, my need to get outside. Like it's that one-stop package for me. So yeah, I have a lot of fun with it.
Perfect.
That's awesome. How did you get to hosting trips around the world? Like how did the path get you down that road? I mean, I barely get out of, I love bushwhacking creeks and fishing for little brookies. I haven't ventured out much past that. And, that's been 30 years I've been doing that. So,
Sure.
but yeah, you're like hosting trips around the world. How does one fall into that realm of the fly fishing world?
Okay, so this is another totally different part of my life that not a lot of people know about. So you guys are getting all the exclusivity
Good.
here.
Yeah, that's what we want.
Okay, so it kind of starts out sad, but it gets better. So when I was in junior year of college for my undergraduate degree, my mom kind of suddenly passed away. And she was young. She was 49. I'm an only kid. So it kind of hit really hard, right?
Mm.
So going through all of this while also trying to go through school, it kind of just became a little bit too much for me. And so I was like, I need to apply for an internship in some foreign country somewhere, right? So kind of like serendipitously, this internship popped up at a treehouse community in Costa Rica. I'm like, if there's any place in the world to solve my problems, it is there. Like, I'm applying, I'm going regardless. Like, that sounds awesome. So I went down to Costa Rica for my first international trip in 2016. 2015. For 2 months, I lived down there and I did my internship and, kind of came to terms with some of the life-changing stuff that was happening at the time, right?
Right.
And so I immediately fell in love with traveling. And so I basically sold all my mom's stuff, kind of put that part of my life in the past and started looking forward. And I was really keen to just see as much of the world as I could. I kind of like felt obligated to do so because it's like I have this opportunity. My mother would be pissed if I just let it go to waste. Like, hell yeah, let's send it and see what happens. So I ended up traveling to Costa Rica. I think this trip going back will be my 10th time. I went to Cambodia, Thailand. Let's see, where else did I go? Antigua, all these places, right? I really just kind of hit the road and I was like, I'm sending it. So I obviously started to fall in love with traveling. It really became something that I sought out. I'm not really much of the, I'm going to treat myself to a coffee every day kind of guy. I'm more of a, I'll take that money and put it away for that next big trip kind of person. So all of those years of just traveling and fly fishing, not exactly at the same time, were bound to merge at some point.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we started traveling for fly fishing in 2021, really kind of after COVID had settled and everyone was back on track with, regular world operations. And then from there, it was just like that pinnacle was raised every single time we went on a trip. So we're almost chasing this kind of, high of like, oh, what's the next best fish we can find? What's the next cool species? And so anyway, yeah, long story short, I started traveling out of like the need for a little bit of, refreshment in my life. And it just sent me down this crazy life path of chasing fish all over the world and, enjoying my time with the folks I'm traveling with too. That's a huge part of traveling. But yeah, I think it's just kind of in my blood at this point to never really stop or settle down. There's always something on the horizon that I want to make happen.
Right. That's pretty incredible that you're able to mesh those two things, a love of traveling, a love of fishing. And so did you, because here's the real aspect of it. I'm, retired teacher, still got to work a little bit, but trying to do different things. But ultimately I want to travel as well. My wife and I are talking about, going to Costa Rica. There's expats down there, maybe living abroad for a while, whatever. And I'm always like, I need to be somewhere where I could go fishing. I don't know that she's really on board with all that, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to like some landlocked place. So I mean, that's kind of like the idea. So when you went down to Costa Rica, you didn't fish the first time. So how did the discovery of that kind of like happen? Because you end up now hosting trips down there. So you must have at some point been like, I'm bringing my fly rods down there, right?
Yep, exactly. So I went back. It was one of the trips we took back there in 2018. I brought my first fly rod down with me to Costa Rica. And I had actually bought a small house in this treehouse jungle community, right? So I would take my friends down there and we would just kind of hang out at the treehouse and go fishing in this river that kind of cut through the property. And we started catching these little fish called machaca. Right. And so machaca are kind of a relative of the piranha, if I'm not mistaken. They're really aggressive fish. They eat bugs, they eat fruits, all sorts of stuff. And we're just kind of catching them on these little rods out of the creek, right? We're also catching these other fish called tepemechin. And so as I'm picking up on all these new fish, I'm only used to catching trout at this point. This is like groundbreaking stuff for me, right? So I start looking into, the internet, trying to dig up more info on these fish that I'm catching out of this river in the middle of the jungle. And I stumbled upon the Costa Rican Association of Fly Fishermen or fly fishers, sorry. And so shorten that down to CRAF. And so CRAF is the nonprofit organization focused on conservation and fly fishing down in Costa Rica. And it's got all of the guides from around Costa Rica. It's got a bunch of individuals who are dedicated to the sport, all kind of centralized within this one really big WhatsApp group where everyone, stokes each other up on the catch of the day and X, Y, and Z. So through that group, I ended up connecting with Tom Enderlin of Fly Fishing Costa Rica. He's one of the operators down there, and he knows that I'm very much kind of like a niche kind of fisherman. I don't like doing the big trips. I like doing kind of like the underground stuff, right? And like finding those really cool places. So he and I started talking about the jungle tarpon scene down there. And, tarpon in and of itself is stoked, but like jungle tarpon are insane, right? So we were chatting about them for a couple years. Then I finally was able to persuade enough folks to host my first trip down there last year. We also did kind of like a media trip down there. And the fishing is just insane. So, all of these little seeds that I kind of planted all over the place throughout my life have grown into like some way, shape, or form of me experiencing the world. And like, I'm so incredibly thankful and humbled by that aspect because I know I take like bucket list trips twice a year now. Not to like rub that in, but it's just like, it's something that I put the time into and I'm really happy that I get to do it.
That's amazing.
So when you're doing one of these, year defining or half a year defining trips, like what goes into planning a trip like that for yourself, and how do people go about just, picking up and doing that without having somebody, paying a $10,000 to go do something? How do you just do one of these cool trips into the jungle of Costa Rica by themselves?
Yeah, well, there's a good kind of balance between the DIY trips that we do as well as the hosted trips that we do. Typically, our hosted trips are to places which are very specific on a fishery, right? So the Costa Rica Jungle Tarpon Reserve is not something you can just easily pick up in DIY. You definitely need a guide and a connection. But that's not to say that you can't go down to a place like Belize and catch huge tarpon in a very easy way, right? So there's kind of this scale in my mind of like these locations and these places around the world and how easy it is to do it on a budget versus like you have to save up money for this kind of trip. And I think a lot of that has to do with like the remoteness of where you're fishing, the ability to have the resources there to also make it an incredible experience, right? So, at the end of the day, I think, as you're exploring the world, you kind of have to identify how you want to do it yourself, right? Is it going to be that I want to put in the research to do this myself and create that experience for myself? Or am I going to trust someone else to coordinate and help me achieve that goal, right? And I've kind of played around on both sides. They both have, their benefits and downfalls. But I mean, regardless, all you have to do is show up with a good attitude and like the willingness to learn in both DIY and guided situations, and you'll end up having a great time.
Nice. Did you find that like when you went to new places internationally, like if you on your own, and you walk into a fly shop or you introduce yourself to people, were they pretty welcoming with that and helping you out and get going and giving information about where to go?
Oh, yeah.
Because that can be tough for some. I mean, there's some people who are like very guarded in that sense. And I'm not telling you where to go fishing, right?
Yeah, I mean, the old adage of if you show up and try to fish somewhere new, stop in the fly shop and buy some flies is true around the world. You're going to get your best information in that way. But I mean, a lot of places that I go are still either developing countries or it's super remote, right? So not a lot of people are used to fly fishing in some of the places I go to. Or it's, we are so remote in the backcountry of whatever country that you're not even talking with other folks, right? But I think you will find your best information about a place the second you touch down, right? You can only do so much planning. You can only anticipate a trip to, the extent of your itinerary. But I mean, people are always kind and comforting if you smile first, right? So that's kind of just like a little tip I've traveled the world with is, always be a good person and good things will come back to you.
Right. That's such great advice because it is. I feel like, that smiling first, and that's good stuff. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
So
I always find that I've done a fair amount of international travel myself, and you hear a lot of things about like, oh, this place is bad to go to. Don't go there. Watch out. It's really unsafe. But then you get there and these places are just as safe and as normal as where you are. And like you said, if you go out there with a smile and obviously you don't want to go into like places you wouldn't even go at home, but like, there's a lot of people ready to like help you out, look and show you in the direction of good fishing in this case, but just in general, like showing you the way of they, in a lot of cases, are proud of like their country or their home, and they want to show it off, and they want to like make you have a good time so that you go back and tell people that this place was awesome. And so I do think there's a lot of truth to that. Just, putting yourself out there and getting down there and meeting the people.
Well, and this is a great point too, because you don't even have to travel internationally to experience that, right? We have a lot of that in the United States too. And I'm not going to speak for every place, but like really just carrying a good head on your shoulders will always get you into the right places. As we're talking in this conversation, like, yeah, you can learn a lot from local fly shops. You can learn a lot from different resources around the web. You can also learn a lot by just getting out and doing it yourself too. I try to achieve this balance of like, I never show up somewhere with expectations, but I'm trying to show up with as much knowledge about the place as I can, right? And just like preparing yourself in that situation has always led to success for me, whether I don't catch fish and just have a good time or if I just absolutely crush it. It's either way, it's a good day.
Well, I'm certainly hopeful that we are going to have some crushing days when we go down to Arkansas and fish the White River. Yeah. If we come back with no fish, I'm going to be bummed out. No. So I got to temper my expectations is what you're saying. Show up with no expectations of 30-inch trout on mouse patterns, but a lot of knowledge, knowing that they do catch those there.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, good. That's a good tip for me. I need to temper my expectations a little.
Well, if we were to come out and do a trip together, I know Reed's in your neck of the woods, and I used to live there. But if we were to come out and do a trip with Lance, what would a trip in your backyard look like?
Yeah. So I'm out here in Colorado, right? I'm up in the mountains of Colorado, up here in the Collegiate Peaks range. So I get out on the Arkansas River a lot. We have the Arkansas headwaters up here, so we do a lot of rafting. We'd probably do a float fishing day for sure,
Nice.
Especially, going into summer. Oh man, we're always out on the boat if we can be. We are really fortunate in the sense that we have an entire block of folks who also like rafting, right? So every weekend we get like 5 or 6 boats out there. That'll probably make people at home cringe that there's 6 boats launching at the same time. But like for us, it's just fun.
Do you strap them together and make like a giant rubber yacht?
I mean, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, man. So, but yeah, so we fish the Arkansas River a lot. We do a lot of float fishing. I fish primarily just like hopper droppers and streamers out here. So brown trout, a little bit of rainbow trout, but mostly browns, which is always fun. We also have some incredible alpine lakes up here in the collegiates. So, you've got incredible trail access right off the highway to a lot of them. Some of them are far hikes. Some of them are super short day hikes. You've got, anything you want alpine lake related, you can pretty much find up here. Some of my favorites are going to be, actually, no, I don't talk about those. So, just put in like a little bar right there, the beep sound. But yeah, so, alpine lake fishing is always fun. We do that in the summertime. Definitely put in some good miles with a backpack on. And we find some great fish too, but you definitely don't have to go looking super far to find awesome fish around here. Let's see what else. We've got a couple of reservoirs as well, kind of right up here. I don't fish still water too much unless it's an alpine lake. But yeah, we've got some incredible trophy-sized fish in some of the lakes up here too. So it's kind of your one-stop shop for, all the Colorado trout experiences. You can hit them all pretty much within an hour and a half of kind of where we're at here in central Colorado.
Nice. Now, are you like rafter, like when it's huge class 5 rapids and stuff during runoff?
Oh, man.
When the fishing sucks, are you like adrenaline junkie rafter guy?
Man, yeah, that's not really my cup of tea, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, I see those folks running rapids and I salute to them because it's an intense form of moving down the water. But no, we're kind of more like your typical booze cruise, lazy Susan, spinning in a dish kind of. Like I will row up to like a class 3 and feel comfortable. I definitely have the skills to row them, but I don't row them by choice.
Right.
So, I avoid the craziness when I can, but like I also embrace the fact that like sometimes you got to run some meat to get to some good fish too.
Right. Yeah, we did a great trip last spring up there,
Nice.
where the water was up. They were releasing water at one point, but we had some great streamer fishing up there.
Oh yeah,
buddy of mine rents her house out up there and right by Mount Princeton, Hot Springs, kind of in that area, right in that valley. It was awesome. Yeah, we had a great time up there. There's a lot of good fishing up by where you are.
Yeah, I mean, like the fish aren't going to blow your mind with any size on the Arkansas. The fish don't get too terribly old, but there is just an incredible population of healthy brown trout.
Right.
And I'm the one who I'll catch a 2-inch fish and be just as stoked as like I catch a 150-pound tarpon, So like, again, temper your expectations and you'll have a great day.
Right. Absolutely. Having never caught a 150-pound tarpon, I'm not sure what that would feel like. I imagine the adrenaline would be pretty awesome.
It's like a brookie on a 3-weight, Reed. It's
yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. The same feeling.
Yeah.
No, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've never been a big fish hunter. You got those guys who will go stand below Taylor Reservoir, like shoulder to shoulder, fishing those hogs. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got its place in time, right? But it's just not like my preferred form of fishing.
Right. Yeah, for sure. There's beauty in catching, pretty fish too. So, even if they're smaller, it's good.
I want to step back to some of your creative endeavors.
Yes.
Your fly tying and rod building, looking at just some of the coolest rods that you've done custom builds for people on your website. A lot of Miami Vice themes and hot bright colors. You got Reed just like really stoked.
So I grew up in South Florida. So I was in Fort Lauderdale. Like I think Miami Vice came out in like 84. I left for college in 85. So I was big. So it always reminded me of like kind of home. Fort Lauderdale. And I noticed, sure enough, like, you got the Miami Vice hoodie, and I'm just like, oh my God, I got to get me one of those. But just like the colors and, you know what I mean? Like the bright colors and the stuff that you're doing with your creativity kind of locked into that. It takes me back, dude. It's awesome. I have a connection to it. So I love that stuff.
No,
how did that come about? Yeah, how'd you dig into
I
that?
appreciate it. I think it really just comes to the fact that I'm like a 90s kid. and I
Right.
never grew up out of that like transparent purple Nintendo 64 controller era.
Heck yeah.
Right. So I've always just really enjoyed bright colors, and like, I don't know, for fly fishing, you don't honestly see that too much, right? It's a very muted kind of sport, mostly because we're trying to maintain some sort of stealth or whatever. Maybe that's just kind of like an antiquated thing that's become a part of fly fishing. But I love making bright stuff, and I really like the custom rod side of things where I can come up with really cool stuff like that. And honestly, I think you're seeing some of the fly fishing industry turn more towards that kind of like personality style rather than just coming up with the same camo colors for every single thing. Because I know like Reddington came out with their Vice Miami style rod recently, and that thing is so sick, like
Yeah.
you see companies picking up on the fact that not everyone is just like their grandfather in their old waders kind of thing anymore, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
fly fishing almost has an attitude of this like skate junkie kind of thing almost, right? It's like what am I trying to say? It's like punk of fishing
Right.
almost
Yeah.
to an effect, right? So I don't know. I think my personality has always just been like pretty loud and bright, but also I'm kind of like reserved and I do my own thing at the same time. I've never really like gone with the flow of everybody else. So I don't know. It definitely took me a lot of years to figure out how to make that crazy conglomeration of personalities like look good in the stuff I create, because you do not want to see the first like, and I'm sorry if anyone who bought any of those rods is listening, but like my first 50 rods were, works in progress still to this day. Right. So, but yeah, I just like,
I think in the business world, they call that
Yeah.
the minimal viable product or something like that. Right? Yeah.
exactly. Those were all beta launch rods,
Right? Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, fly fishing became my personality. And then I tried to figure out ways to fit other parts of my personality into fly fishing. And so I think that just kind of came up with like Pesca Vida, right? And it means fish life. Like every day I live some sort of fishy lifestyle, whether I'm tying flies, filming content, making rods, going on trips. Like it's definitely become the defining factor of my life. And I think that's why Pesca Vida has grown well, because I think a lot of other people resonate with that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think you should name like your next rod that you build should be like the Sex Pistols version or like the Clash. You know what I mean? Like start having some serious punch. Yeah, that'd be
That would
awesome.
be sick. Oh man,
That would be great. That'd be
Actually, that's a great idea. Yeah, you've inspired me, Reed. I've got something for you.
great. Nice.
man.
There you go. There you go.
Good stuff.
No, I definitely agree with you on the we need more loud in this muted arena of fly fishing, because I do think it gets a little stale sometimes, and we need the John Daly pants of fly fishing. So
Absolutely.
Nope.
Like, did you guys ever, I don't know if you looked this far into my history, but I made a fly rod with Arizona iced tea a couple years ago.
yeah,
And it was this blue halo rod. It was a turquoise rod. I put on these fuchsia and yellow wraps, and I actually put a part of an Arizona iced tea can into the handle in like the epoxy work I did. It was so cool, man. Like, I wish we had more of that in fly
Did you do
fishing.
it for Arizona Tea? I saw it on your website. Did you do that for Arizona Tea, or
I did,
just
yeah. That was
because you like it?
It was a collaboration with their 99 Projects division, which is kind of their nonprofit division, which the idea is they provided funding for 99 projects, like their 99-cent logo kind of thing.
Right.
And I was chosen as one of their projects. So they, provided the funding to make the rod. And then at the end of the entire build process and like kind of hype storm, we ended up giving it away. So it was a really cool, just kind of like full circle, super random, but it came together incredibly well kind of project.
Right.
That was a super cool looking build on your website for sure. People should check that out.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Do you do a lot of those kinds of things where you're giving back? Do you do much?
Yeah. Currently I'm working on 2 auction item rods for 2 different organizations. The first one is American Heroes in Action, and they're a veteran organization that aims to take folks out on experiences. They've got their annual banquet coming up, I believe May 3rd of 2025. Not sure when it'll be next year, but that'll be coming up. So I'm doing an auction rod for them, as well as the Collegiate Peaks chapter of Trout Unlimited. We have the IF4 showing coming up. It's a benefit for them, and each year I donate a custom rod for them as well.
Sweet.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like
so
you gotta give back where it's due, right? I mean, there's been so many people who've been influential in my fly fishing journey that it would be wrong to, not give back.
right. So when you made your first rod and those things, like how long does it take you to make a rod now versus then?
Oh boy. Okay, so it used to take me so long to make a rod because I messed up so much. That
Right.
was like part of the
Because
learning
Ed and I have
process.
talked about dabbling and like building rods, and
Yeah.
so I'm just like, yeah, right.
So I mean,
Reed's
you can-
really slow at things. So we've never got off the ground because I'm like, dude, I don't know if that's a project we're ever going to finish with you, man.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, it's as easy or as complicated as you want it to be, right? Like at the end of the day, making a fly rod is attaching the reel seat, attaching the handle, wrapping on each of the snake guides, and attaching the tip top. And, at the end of the day, that's it. So even back when I first started, it would take me upwards of like a week, 2 weeks to make the most basic fly rod, right?
Right.
Nowadays, I've definitely got it streamlined down to like 6 to 8 days, depending on, several different factors of like epoxy drying. And I turn all my own custom handles as well. So there's an entire build process that just goes into the handle. If I'm doing some sort of special finish or I need to like send a rod off to my rod painter, that always adds time and all of that. But, just kind of like cut and paste, my average time of making the fly rods that I make now is about a week or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that
Nice.
includes,
See-
the handle turning, assembly, all that good
Oh.
stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I could make a basic rod in a week, Ed. I don't know what you're talking about.
tell yourself
all
whatever
it is,
you need to, buddy.
Thread and glue, man. Thread and glue.
Yes. Thread and glue.
I know we've been hopping around a little bit, but I keep thinking about something you said earlier about when you were with traveling and stuff, and a lot of it has been chasing places and then chasing bigger and bigger fish. But you hinted on something along the lines of travel being about who you're doing it with, and what goes into you picking who to bring with you, and obviously your wife's a big important fishing buddy, but just what is it about the people you want to bring with you, and how do you go about all of that thought?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can even answer this from like both sides of the aisle too, because I've been on the side where I'm on a hosted trip. And just traveling with the folks on a trip like that. But typically when we put together a hosted trip, folks have already reached out to us, expressing interest in like the next trip, right? And a lot of that comes just from like the marketing that we put out on social media. So like our Costa Rica trip was basically an inner circle kind of thing, extending the invitations out to folks that expressed interest. The Belize one, we marketed a little bit more broadly. That was really kind of targeted towards first-time saltwater anglers, right? So introducing folks on both DIY as well as guided saltwater fishing. Everyone caught some incredible fish that week, by the way. It was super cool.
Awesome.
We had a guy catch a permit before a bonefish. It was wild. But so, obviously being in and of that fishing mentality just kind of helps put together a trip like that. And then we also have like questionnaires, and we do a little bit of screening to make sure it's the right trip for the person that's interested. But then, kind of coming from the side of like, how do I travel with other anglers, right? Like, I've been really lucky that I was kind of absorbed into this friend group of folks that really like to travel and go fishing. And we all really get along well. So anytime I travel with them, it's a pretty safe bet that we're going to have a good time. And,
Yeah.
we all know each other mostly through fishing. So we kind of just keep that as the energy in the group, right? We don't bog ourselves down with all the stuff that doesn't matter. So, if you're planning on going on a trip and you have folks in mind that can kind of fit that bill of like, if I call you up and say the fish are biting, are you going to show up? Like, that's typically the person you want to travel with, right? But, in kind of the greater scheme of things, I've definitely traveled with people who are not on the same operating plane as you can be. So having a little bit of like grace and forgiveness and the ability to just kind of like step back and let things unfold, that, is a really key travel element as well, especially when it comes to fishing. So yeah, that's kind of just my take on the company you carry, whether you're a host or you're going on a hosted trip. Like, it all goes back to that be the first one to smile kind of thing that I said earlier.
Heck yeah. And when you think about just how much of the trip is about chasing the fish and how much of it is about the time that fills in all the gaps in between.
Well, they say, it's not about the destination, it's all about the journey, right? Like,
right.
The old adage is very correct in this situation. Like, you may be going to a place to catch a fish, right? So, for example, my 31st birthday last year, we went down to Argentina to catch golden dorado. I was so hyper-focused on golden dorado for the week leading up to the trip that I didn't realize I was going to be in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I'm in a new country. I'm jumping on a boat to rip an hour upriver, and I'm seeing all these animals, and like, you don't ever really expect all of that until it's right in front of you. Right. And then that's kind of when you're like, oh no, this is really cool. And I'm really like here present now. So, I mean, the fishing is always the icing on the cake, but being able to travel and see different parts of the world and catch yourself in that moment of clarity and presence is like, that's like 85% why we do this. The fish are always kind of the icing on top.
Oh, now we got to talk about dorado fishing in Argentina. What?
Yeah, you didn't tell us about this in the pregame.
I watched that jungle guy. What's the dude on Instagram? The jungle fisherman guy, whatever.
Yeah, jungle angler,
yeah, like he chucks those big white streamers and just like, yes!
It's crazy.
That's what I wanted. Is it just incredibly cool or what?
100%. So we didn't go up into like those jungle streams that you'll see all over Instagram. We were more so on the marshland of the Paraná River, huge river down in in Argentina, outside of Buenos Aires. And yeah, I think we caught 200 plus dorado between all of us in the week.
Whoa.
Now, we weren't getting into the 40 pounders, right? These are smaller dorado. It's a different subspecies as well. But I mean, we were throwing poppers. Like I was saying, popper fishing for dorado is incredible. I even actually threw an articulated rat pattern one of the days I was down there. And they just loved it. It's wild. So yeah, that's some pinnacle fishing right there. It's just throwing big streamers for aggressive fish. Oh, too cool.
Right on. What's your favorite fish you've ever caught? Like, what's your favorite?
My favorite
outside
fish I ever caught. Yeah.
Outside
but beside that massive 2-inch brook trout I caught. So there is one fish that stands out above the rest. And it was just one of those times where it was like everything was happening at the present, right? And it was down in Costa Rica last year when I was tarpon fishing. And I had just delivered this incredibly smooth back cast right into this pool that was kind of like behind some jungle trash, stumps and all that kind of stuff just floating in the river. Blasted a cast out there, and I was taking some strips in. And the thing about jungle tarpon is it's not an aggressive eat. Like, they don't come and smack your fly. You're doing really tiny twitch strips. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of stops, right? And from there, you got to start ripping the lawnmower because you got a tarpon or a huge jungle root at the end of your line. So I set into this tarpon and it immediately launches. It had to have been 30 feet across the river. This thing went full airborne, absolute send, and it was about 120-pound fish. So it smacks down into the water and it immediately runs up to the boat. And so I'm like basically at the leader with this tarpon within a minute, which is not good. Like that fish was not done fighting, right? So then it finally realizes I'm kind of standing above it, giving it pressure. It takes off, does another incredible set of jumps. I fought that fish for about 35 minutes, right? To the point where we had drifted down the river. The boat was kind of parked on this little grassy area, and I was bringing in the fish. We leadered the tarpon, which is, everyone's big takeaway from tarpon fishing. And then, it came up for one last jump, popped the hook boat side, and swam away. And I got the entire thing on GoPro. I put it up on Instagram a couple of times because it was just insanity. But awesome. I think the reason that's my favorite fish is because it did pop the hook and it just swam away. Knowing that fish swam away healthy is like the biggest takeaway for me. So that's my favorite fish.
That's awesome. That's nice.
Well, I'm sure we could hit up a ton more stories. But how about we wrap this up with the GFW hot seat?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the GFW hot seat, where the name of the game is to answer the questions. And the prizes are... Wait, who said we have prizes? That's the most creative thing Ed's ever done.
I love it, man. That is serious editing skill.
It's just straight cash, homie. Yeah.
Too funny.
So good.
What is one thing you're currently celebrating in life?
Oh, man. I am currently installing my first ever water feature outside of our house. So I have been digging in dirt and getting snowed on up here in Colorado.
But, you have.
Oh man, yeah. So it's been a wild ride. I'm like low key on the side, really into like terrariums and that kind of thing. And so my wife and I have been talking about a water feature for years, and we're finally getting around to it, and it's coming together. So I am celebrating the fact that I am learning as I go with this thing. But hopefully it looks good. Yeah,
that's awesome. Are you gonna put some fish in it?
I might slip a couple tigers in there or something. Who knows? Cast a couple streamers on the front porch. Man, that would be sweet.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm ready to be done with this snow for sure.
Yeah,
it's bad. Lance, what's one piece of content, book, a video, movie, show, whatever, that you'd recommend to our listeners?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, there's my content. You can go for that.
Yes, indeed. Pesca Vida on Insta, baby.
Yeah, you can check me out on Pesca Vida on like most of the social channels. Outside of the content that I make, I've been listening to John Gearark's audiobooks. It's either Gearark or Gearark. I'm not sure how to say it, but he has some incredible books. And I've been listening to several of his. The last one I listened to was At the Tomb of the Unknown Fly Fisherman, right? Or something like that. So great book. I love listening to him. And yeah, he's got some incredible stories as well, just on like some of the really cool ties between like, how life happens and how fly fishing happens at the same time. Right. I can't even summarize it correctly, but you just have to listen or read to one of his books.
Yeah, he's definitely, we're fans of his, and his storytelling skills. I just laugh.
Yeah,
he tells such good stories. I just crack up. He says the shit I'm thinking a lot.
I have a book recommendation for you. You kind of are the young embodiment of this author, I think. But do you know Jeremy Wade of the River Monsters show?
Oh my God, I love that guy. Yeah.
Have you read his book?
I have not yet. It's been on my list for a while, but I'm bumping it up.
It's a good, you should move it right to the top. It's a good memoir / tactical jungle fish book. I really enjoyed listening. I listened to it on audio book, and it was a
How to Think
great
Like
listen.
a Fish, right?
How to Think Like a Fish. It's a goodie.
Awesome.
Yep.
Added to my library. Yeah, that's
Awesome.
perfect.
You are the new Jeremy Wade, the
That's
chief
right.
fisherman.
Man, if I could live up to 1/10 of his angling ability, unbelievable. That guy knows
Right.
how to tell a story too.
He won't make you he'll make you probably second guess your fly fishing addiction just because he talks so much about like, the gear and the like, don't bring, a knife to a gunfight type of thing. Just like you need like the right gear to not hurt the fish and stuff. But it's
For sure.
it's awesome. Just hit the steps beyond where I think of chasing dumb brookies up in the mountains, where he goes about like stalking fish and
Yeah.
watching a fish for weeks before he attacks it is just crazy. So
It's unbelievable. I've always held a very deep appreciation for how he says fish on every single time he catches a fish. That has translated very well into my own life. So, if you're ever on the river and you hear Skylar and I yelling fish on at each other, we're having a good day.
that's awesome. Well, we kind of gave us one of your favorite fishing memories. I don't know if there's a different one, but we can use the one that Reid kind of jumped the gun on. What's your favorite fish a second ago?
I did.
You don't even look at the agenda, bro. That's just unbelievable.
I kind of realized after I was just like, he's caught so many different kinds of fish. What's like your favorite fish? Not your favorite.
But I don't know if there's a
memory.
different one that you want to use. But if we can pass to the next question. If not,
I will say there is one cool memory that I have was back in 2013. And this was before I started fly fishing to impress my wife. I took a trip with my father and grandfather and uncle up to Alaska, and we did a 9-day fly fishing trip up in Alaska. And that was the last time that I was able to fish with my grandpa, right? And we're wading up to our bellies in Alaskan water, and it's frigid, and there's bears, and everything's going on, right? But, just to have that experience of like 3 generations of my family being out there on the water was pretty dang cool. But,
that's awesome.
For thrill, the tarpon story is pretty fun too.
Right. Sentimental grandpa story's good. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, 120-pound boat side tarpon is a little bit more thrilling,
That doesn't suck. Yeah, that doesn't suck. What's one piece of advice you wish someone had given your 20-year-old self?
Oh man, slow down your back cast, dude. Like seriously. I can't tell you how many flies I broke off. Like, okay, this is serious, man. This is why I started fly tying, and this is why I'm at where I'm at now. So maybe I shouldn't have slowed down my back cast. Yeah, just leave that alone, honestly.
Maybe that's all right. Maybe that's all right.
I think something that really stands out as something I've learned about myself throughout the years through fishing is to never disregard the opportunity to watch someone fish and to be there for someone who is fishing, right? There have been countless times where I have not focused on fishing and I get angry about it, right? And then over the years, it kind of turned into like, I've caught fish and I've enjoyed that time. And now I really want to share that, with like, not only just like being there physically, but that moment and that memory, right? So I also learn a lot from watching other people fish. Like I learned how to double haul from watching my saltwater guides. I learned how to like really lace and punch a fly through the air from the folks down in Belize. Like just watching people cast and watching people fish will teach you so much more than you ever think it would, even though it's frustrating because you're not the one catching the fish. But like seriously, slowing down and watching someone else fish has been hugely beneficial to me.
Right on. That's
You
great.
just got to get out with someone who's better than you too. I guess that's or even someone who's not better than you. You learn a lot of corrective things about your casts and your fish handling from watching someone else do
100%.
better or worse, right? So
yeah,
win-win
they say
either way.
see one, do one, teach one. That's that last step of learning. So
That's
teaching.
it.
What's your definition of community?
Oh man, it's hard to say if I even have a definition. I don't like to put big strong labels on like the fly fishing community or like the fly fishing industry. But I do think community is just the people who you enjoy spending time with, right? Whether it be the folks that you take out fishing, which in my world is one group of people, the folks you talk to about fishing, which can be a totally different group of people, but just the folks you enjoy sharing time with. Community doesn't have to be so laser focused that it almost takes the fun out of community for you, right? Like being super involved in fishing every day is great until it's not, right? So give yourself a little bit of community outside of your community, right?
Right.
But yeah, just folks who are willing to hang out and have a good time. I think that's really kind of the folks that I tend to flock to nowadays.
Nice. Love that. Lance, give us one thing that you've changed your mind about recently.
Oh, let's see. I've really got to give my hat off to folks who enjoy centerpin fishing. I've been watching some of those centerpin videos on YouTube, and for the longest time, I thought it was just this weird mashup between gear fishing and fly fishing, and it looked weird, and I just didn't understand it, right? But now I've been watching people centerpin fish both in like the Pacific Northwest as well as in the Great Lakes area, and it does take a lot of finesse, and it does take a lot of skill. So it's gotten to the point where I'm like, maybe I should build a centerpin rod I would have literally no use for it, but like just to see what it's like, right?
Right.
So, I think I've really, in the past couple of years, it went from me being very strict on like fly fishing only, conservation only, got to treat every single fish like it fell from heaven almost, right? To understanding the broader perspective of fishing as well. And understanding that folks do like to catch fish and keep fish, and that's okay. And people fish recreationally and commercially, and that's okay. So I've just become a little bit more accepting of folks who do things and prefer things outside of my wheelhouse, because I think I end up learning more and bringing more of that into like my daily life too. So I don't know. That's kind of a long-winded question, but a long-winded answer to your question.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I think it's that idea of being able to, being open-minded to trying things and experiencing new stuff, which I think is, in your background, and, you're kind of mired in that as a foundation with all your travels and stuff and different kinds of things you've done. So I think that's a really cool answer to that question. Love it.
Our last question comes from our previous guest, who was Karen Miller. Yeah, Karen Miller at Zen Tenkara Fly Fishing. And at first I thought, this question is going to be tough for somebody, but I actually think it's right in your wheelhouse, so I'm glad it landed with you. But knowing that in our sport, the resources we love are being pressured more and more every day, how do we go about ethically growing business within these finite resources and arenas?
Wow. That's a great, I never like to say that's a great question, but that is a great question because I don't know, okay, I'm going to wear like 3 different hats right now. Okay. Coming from the conservation background, things are balanced so delicately currently that we have to approach things with extreme care, right? Because we have been so fast-tracked down a single-track mind where making it quick changes immediately and substantially are going to hurt more than they're going to help, right? So understanding that we're working in a delicate landscape in the sense of conservation is at a very interesting tipping point right now, and I'll just leave it at that. Keep that in mind while also understanding that business development and the economic groundwork that we all operate on is identifying fish as a resource to humans, right? Whether that be recreationally through sport fishing or commercially. So if I had to put some sort of answer on this, it would be to slow down the entirety of the world without creating too much chaos, and really spending the time identifying how we can best protect resources for the longevity of not only the resource and ourselves, but also for that greater impact that once conservation happens in one place, it's very likely that it will happen in more places, right? So my kind of grassroots answer is start small and go from there, right? But as individuals, I think we can all have lasting impacts, whether it be you choose to recycle or you choose to use a reusable water bottle. You can never put some sort of value on something without saying that if it has a value in and of itself, it's good, right? So I love those super simple switches that help people identify that conservation is a good thing to practice, right? So again, I could get up on a soapbox about this topic, and I don't want to poke around too much, given that I'm coming at it from a bunch of different backgrounds. But yeah, I think conservation should be well rooted into the foundation of how we all operate and live our lives.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about the idea of slowing it down and not making, this is the way to do it. And that can be more detrimental. I think that's something that it does. Let's be thoughtful about this in terms of how this is going to be long term. And I think more businesses could probably use to slow that down. Because I think there's a lot of we start to see the dollar signs right in businesses, and so that drives our decision making. And so that's a really good answer to that question. You answered that way better than I ever would have. so props to you, Lance. That was good.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Reed had an idea of buying fish at the store and stuff like that. So yeah,
I love it, man. Hey, if it works, it works. That's the thing.
That's right.
We've got plenty of time to try new things, and we should never stop exploring in that sense.
Yeah, no, and Karen was an awesome conversation with the Tenkara fishing and the business she has, and she was a hoot too. It was a lot of fun learning about that and talking about expanding your horizons and those kinds of things. Yeah, she's definitely a pioneer on that front. So it's pretty cool.
Very
cool.
Well,
what is your question for our next guest?
All right, let's see. I got to hit him with something good, right? Okay, it's going to be a choice, all right? You can either only catch 2-inch brook trout on a 12 weight for the rest of your life, or you can only catch largemouth bass on a Tenkara rod for the rest of your life. Which option do you choose and why?
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Interesting question. Nice. I don't even know if I have an answer to that, so they can have fun with that one.
That's a good debate.
Yeah, I mean, it hits right at the fundamentals, right? Do you like catching the fish or you like the fight? You know what I'm saying? So,
Yep. Indeed.
I dig it.
All right, that's a goodie.
Yep. Well, this has been an awesome, fun conversation. Really loved hearing about your stories and meeting the future new Jeremy Wade. And so can't wait to one day actually truly get on the water together and hit up Arkansas or something else. I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I got 2 spots in the boat, so you guys better get on up here.
Sweet. Oh, absolutely, Lance. It's been a great conversation. I am envious of the life you're living. You're making it happen. You're inspirational to us old guys who want to change now and start living my life that way. So yeah, dude, I really appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, thank you guys too. I appreciate you having me, hosting me. That was a great conversation, and I always love chatting about fishing. So that was great.
Good deal. Well, we'll do more of it on the water.
That's right.
That's it. Yep.
Before we go, why don't you let people know where they can find you and get in contact with you?
Yeah. So yeah, like I said earlier, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pesca Vida. So PESCAVIDA. I've also got a website over at pescavida.net. And yeah, if you want to get in touch, just shoot me a message on any of those platforms. I'm pretty quick and good at responding. Unless I'm not, I got to leave myself a little bit of grace there. But
of course.
Upcoming Costa Rica trip in August, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So we're going to be here in Colorado, floating and loving the trout life. Upcoming trip in August. And then we're looking at what we're planning for 2026. So
Sweet.
Yeah.
Right on, dude.
All right, Lance, this was awesome. We'll talk soon.
Cheers, guys. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, if that doesn't get you excited to get on a plane tomorrow, get down to Central America, the Caribbean, New Zealand, South America, somewhere to catch a fish, I don't know what will.
Dorado fishing in Argentina? Are you kidding me? Yes, please. He is living my dream for real, dude. But here's the thing that I love about Lance, his authenticity. Maybe my favorite clip is the punk rock of fly fishing, being willing to put your personality into the things that you do. That takes some vulnerability. That takes some swag, and I think that he's got that. And it's that's refreshing to see, and it's inspiring.
No doubt. I think it's pretty awesome because to go from, not knowing a ton about fly fishing to, falling in love around fly fishing, and then now to make it, your whole life. That's just next level awesome.
I mean, how many people go through just grinding and grinding and grinding, right? And he just seems to be meshing everything really well together to give him and, the lifestyle he wants. And that's awesome.
Yep. He's just living with intention, like we always talk about.
Yes.
That's half the battle.
Right? So good. So good. Great conversation. Great dude.
Yep. What are you celebrating this week?
Well, Ed, I was out fishing with your old man last week.
You were.
Good old Robbie G.
Yeah.
I'm celebrating some time with them. As you know, we were fishing some pristine water with some big fish, and I actually caught the biggest rainbow that I've ever caught in my life. It was about 25 inches, probably 5 to 7 pounds. I've never caught a fish that big, but it was at least 5 pounds. I'm thinking it's in the 5 to 7 range. I got to catch more of those to really understand weight. But it was a hog. So that was kind of a cool experience. So I'm celebrating, some time with good friends and some really, really good fishing. We had a great day out on the water.
It sounded like an awesome trip, and I'm jelly that I couldn't have made it to that. But one day I'll get up there with you guys.
Yep, it was amazing. It was fun. So, how about you? What are you celebrating these days?
I am celebrating my daughter. So we have her in soccer, and she didn't have a problem with soccer when she first did soccer, but this season has been a different story. I don't know. She's got an opinion now or something, and she's done a lot of pouting on the sidelines and not going out and playing. And I get it's it's just a glom of kids moving around a ball as it moves out across the grass field. But she was just, it was tough to go and see her just throw money down the drain, just sitting on the side crying. But this past week, she finally had a breakthrough, and now she's just like flying all over, running around. Just I don't know what it's like. Some switch flipped, and now she's just like, zipping across the field, and it's just so cool to see her actually excited about it. And I'm glad that we stuck with it, and she is now sticking with it and liking it a lot. Not forcing her trying to like soccer, but it's just really cool to see her, grab onto that and just get excited about it and, be pumped to put on her cleats and stuff like that. So it's just cool.
Never try to understand how or why the little child's mind works, because you're not going to figure it out. For whatever reason, the switch flipped. And just enjoy now. Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing better than watching them run around smiling and giggling and laughing and doing that, being into something.
It was
good.
cool. I mean, it was the first time. She's not really like an aggressive kid. In fact, even in this time, somebody fell down and she like sat with them and like tapped them and said it's going to be okay, and then got up and ran around. So she's definitely much more of like, just a sensitive soccer player. But she was in there like bumping into kids, like sort of knocking them off the ball. And I'm like, yeah, you get that ball, go. So
Competitive dad in you.
Yeah,
let's go. Nice. That's good.
What are you navigating this week?
Well, I'm glad you're celebrating your daughter. I'm navigating my daughter. Not really my daughter. No, I'm navigating.
She in jail?
No. No, Ed, but we do have a grad party to plan.
Oh.
Yes. I got one more of these. And I know people are like, just be present, dude, because, you're going to miss this someday. And I'm like, I'll miss the actual, like the high school experience and having kids around the house. Of course, I'm going to miss that stuff. But the planning of grad parties, it's not my favorite.
You were going to say a bad word.
I was going to say a bad word, and I refrained from saying the bad word because I don't want to put the bad karma out there. I just need to grind it out for the next month and throw the party and be good. But it's, I had a conversation with my dad on the phone, and he's like, hey, should we, are we coming to the actual graduation ceremony? And I'm like, no, I think you ought to skip it, Dad. I was honest with him. I'm just like, just skip it. It's really steep. It's in a hockey arena. I'm like, it's like you and Mom are going to hate it. It's long. It's physically challenging. I don't need you like falling 8 rows down. I'm just like, oh, God. Yeah, so I'm navigating my daughter's grad party. That's what I'm navigating. And all the shit I'm going to have to do. Yeah, in the next month for that.
Yeah.
So get ready, because the next 6 days that we're together hanging out fishing, that's like the calm before the storm. So,
Great. I'm going to have to hear about you talking about what type of sandwiches you're serving at.
Nope. Nope. I'm going to go and forget everything. I'm going to leave it all behind.
Are we going to do the pink napkins or the floral napkins? I don't know. If I have to hear about pink napkins or floral napkins at all on this trip, I'm turning the boat around.
I don't care about any of it. Oh, God, yeah. How about you? What are you navigating, brother?
Well, I too am navigating a party, although I navigated this party. So it's in the past tense now, but we had an annual Easter egg hunt that we threw this, our third one in a row. And the rain that we are headed into was also here this past weekend and 4 days in a row. So we were like, we got it. People were still like, we're on board. We'll still come. We're like, okay. And so literally like 2 hours before the party, it had cleared up. We're like, okay, we're in the clear. We're going to get through this. And then like 15 minutes before the party, just started dumping rain the whole time. The 2 hours of party that we had set up.
Right. And
then about an hour after everybody, maybe 30 minutes after everybody left, it like became the most nice, peaceful night ever. So,
yep.
We had to move the Easter egg hunt from the outside into the inside with a bunch of little kids, adults, and everything. And we made it work out, but it was a navigation.
You adapted. Mm-hmm. Yep. You navigated and adapted.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
in the end, were kids eating jelly beans and chocolate bunnies? Yeah.
They may have been.
It's all good.
And I'm sure they will take this memory and they will run with it and they will hold it and write great novels about it one day. So
yeah. They're not going to remember tomorrow.
They're not going to remember.
All right.
No. Cool party, bro. Cool story. All right.
Yeah. Good work.
All right, buddy. Well, we'll see you in a few days.
Can't wait, brother. Can't wait.
All right, man. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening. Make sure to visit our website, guysfishingweekend.com, to check out the GFW merch, sign up for our newsletter, and learn how to get involved with the community. We appreciate you spending even a little bit of your week with us and are glad to have you along on the journey. Stay legendary and happy fishing.